So, I'm not one to brag, but in this video, I might do just a little bit of it.
AfroDaddy.
So it is officially Movember. It's a month that I normally don't really participate in because I look absolutely ridiculous with just a moustache, but this year's a little bit special. Now, if you didn't know, Movember is a campaign that really focuses on prostate and testicular cancer in men. It gets men to think about their own mortality and take their health a lot more seriously. But this year is a little bit different because this is the first year that I realized that Movember also looks at men's mental health. Now, don't get me wrong, prostate cancer and testicular cancer are very important issues that we need to be talking about, but I would really like to focus on that third issue, mental health. So I know what you're thinking, it's really strange that I will be talking about Movember when I don't have a moustache, so I guess this has to happen. So here's the thing about men's mental health. We have been programmed not really to talk about it. And what I realized that often it's not even a case of telling boys not to cry. It's a little bit more subtle than that. We don't get socialized to talk about the way we feel, which means that if you're feeling bad and you're having a rough time, keep that to yourself. Here's what the problem is. A majority of suicide victims around the world are men. And a lot of those stories end up with the families or friends saying, we didn't even know that he felt that way. And that's really their fault. If the victim never talks to them, how are they supposed to know? So that's what I like about Movember. It tells men two things. Firstly, that it's okay not to be okay. You're allowed to feel sad. You're allowed to feel like life isn't going the way you want it to go. You're allowed to feel that something's not quite right. The second thing Movember tells you is that you're also allowed to talk about it. So to stick with that theme, I kind of want to tell you about what I've been going through over the last 3 or 4 years. And actually, I could tell you about my entire life, but we just don't have time for that. See that? See, this is what happens when you try and shave on camera. You inevitably cut yourself. Never cut myself when I normally shave. Oh no, but now it's just a bloodbath over here. Over the last 4 years, I've had this increasingly intense nagging feeling that things weren't quite right for me. I wasn't enjoying things the way I enjoyed things, and that goes down to friends and my family and food, the 3 big F's of everyone's life. And obviously it affected other parts of my life as well, like it affected my creativity and my work ethic, which put a lot of extra pressure on me, which made me feel even worse. And so the downward spiral would continue. And this feeling, this nagging feeling got worse. It went beyond nagging. It went to some real doubts about myself. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I had really big self-esteem issues. And when I say self-esteem, what I actually mean is self-worth. I didn't feel like I was worthy of anything. And all of this, that horrible feeling of being unworthy of anything, of success, of love, of affection, of friendship, really culminated into one big day that was possibly one of the worst days of my life, but also weirdly one of the best. And I suppose I should really tell you about that day, but first, marvel in the glow of my amazing moustache. That's right, I look like a cop from the 80s. This has got to go. But back to that very important day. I'm not sure if you remember, but at the very beginning, in the intro of this video, I told you that I'm going to be bragging a little bit, and this is that moment. Because on this one particular day, when all I wanted to do was run away, I was completely overwhelmed. I didn't know what to do. My brain was spinning. I felt completely out of control. On that day, instead of doing any of the really crazy things that were going through my head, I did something really sensible. I went against all of my training as a man and I called someone. I called my friend, I told him what I was going through, I told him how I was feeling, and he responded like any decent friend should. He got me help. Specifically, he made sure that I called another friend of ours who was a church counselor. And that really gave me the space that I needed to process some of the things that I was feeling and going through at that moment. That conversation led to me going to therapy and getting help from a medical doctor. And those were all really wise, good, practical steps to the way I was feeling at that moment. Now, I don't pat myself on the back a lot because, quite honestly, I don't deserve to do it a lot. But this is one of those moments. I did the difficult, brave, and wise thing, and I'm so glad I did, because if I hadn't, I'm honestly not sure if I'd be here talking to you today. And yes, I was really lucky because I had an amazing support system all around me. I had good friends, I had access to counselors and therapy and medicines. I had an amazing family and an even more amazing and supportive wife, which made doing the right thing a lot easier. But this is what makes mental health issues like depression and anxiety really difficult to deal with, because at my lowest point, I felt like those people didn't really exist. I felt completely alone and completely helpless. And you might be feeling like that too right now. And you have to ask yourself whether or not that is reality or whether or not it's your depression and anxiety that's making you feel like that. And if you are feeling like that, there are some practical things that you can do before you even go to therapy or get medication, like eating correctly, exercising, just getting up and walking and getting some fresh air. Maybe just doing some self-care things like getting all that paperwork done that you needed to get done, or having the conversation with the boss that you just have been dreading to have for a long time. Maybe once you've ticked some of those boxes, you might feel better, but you might not. So if you've tried all those things and you're still feeling kind of awful, number one, tell someone. Tell your partner or your mother, or a family member, or a friend, or a church counselor, or your HR manager at work. Someone. Tell someone. And if they aren't able to help you, get the help you need. Because I know one of the things that mental health issues make you feel is that you are not worth getting help. You are worth it. You are worth getting the help. I'm going to leave the link for the Movember website in the description below. Please go check it out, because there's a lot of really helpful information and a lot of great videos and testimonials from men who have struggled with what you are struggling with. You're not alone, and that's what the Movember website really does well. Another link I'm going to be putting in the description is the link for SADAG, the South African Depression and Anxiety Group's website. There's a lot of great resources for you to get the help that you need. So men, fellas, brothers, it is okay to feel weak, and it is okay to feel vulnerable. When you are feeling like that, the best thing you can do is find someone to support you so that you don't have to be weak and vulnerable alone. Get the help you need. Talk to a loved one, find a therapist, get help. That's exactly what I did. And there's not a day that goes by where I'm not so grateful that I did. I'll say this again. You are worth getting help. You don't have to go through this alone. And if you don't know where else to go, send me an email, afrodaddyct@gmail.com, or get hold of me via the website, afrodaddyonline.com, and we'll find a way to help you. I might not have all the answers, but we'll find someone who does. You don't have to be alone. You don't have to suffer alone, and you don't have to suffer in silence. Get help. Thanks so much for watching this episode of AfroDaddy. I will see you soon. AfroDaddy out.
I love AfroDaddy.